Okay. Uh, so, and lastly, then the third
Nishan, sorry to interrupt again. Can you put on your headphones at least? We cannot hear you at all.
uh, I'll try, but I do not have any other way here. Can you hear me now?
We are able to hear you now, but when you're responding, I don't know. It's not at all clear.
Okay, I'll just keep it closer to me, but let me see.
No, there's still disturbance.
There's no disturbance at this end, but I don't know.
So Shruti, would you like to add to what Nishant was just saying before he just comes back?
Yeah, sure. So I think just taking a cue from what Nishant was telling us about the talent management, in my view, what is important when we look at building an org talent map is to kind of how do we align ourselves with the business strategy and how can we link our talent strategy to the business strategy. I think that's the first thing, first come first thing that we want to look while developing a talent management strategy for the organization. Three parts, I think, taking just ahead to what Nishant was saying. The first was to understand what talent is needed in the org, right? So I think that's the first step in developing any kind of talent management strategy, be it in terms of skills, competence, new roles, what are the leadership roles that we need. I think the first step is to kind of understand what talent is needed in the organization. Second, once we have an understanding of what talent is needed, the second step is to kind of identify what are the talent gaps. And I think in identifying those talent gaps, our people practices like performance, succession planning, high potential, all the talent calibrations that happen play a very, very important and a significant role. And once we have the need and the gap identified, then we look at how we want to hire, how we want to train, how we want to develop our people. I think this is how, in my view, how talent management is and how do we kind of build an org talent map for any organization. Over to you, Nishant, in case I've missed something.
No, I think. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So no, Ashwati, I think I completely agree with you that once you know what talent is and you know that basic talent management is all about three things, very simple stuff. Unfortunately, in the organization, line and the business, basically they think that it is as simple the way we are explaining it. That you look at what are the skills you have, what are the skills you want in future, and just go for bridging the gap. You know, seems very logical and seems very common sensical, and that's where the problem is because what we do in terms of developing people, we're running, for example, if you were to just start from the assessments, you need to first know what competencies are you looking for. You know, that's a subject matter expertise area. Then you are assessing people through maybe psychometrics, you're using your assessment center, development centers, etc., to give you feedback. That's a area for a subject matter expert. Then you are building on top of it as to what skills are required. You need to understand what are the strategic levers of the organization, how work happens in the organization, what is the workplace, what are the operating model. All this requires skill. And lastly, when you're bridging the gap, you need to be able to choose first and foremost, not between the interventions. You need to first choose whether this can be resolved through automation or is it an outsourcing problem, you know? And then we come to the conclusion that, okay, no, we have to do something in-house. Then you have a lot of intervention for the, depending upon how you segment the entire talent. And this is where you have all coaching, mentoring stuff for people who are middle to senior management level, and you have development plans for them. You have succession planning for almost the top level, and so on and so forth. So this all requires a subject matter expertise. That's why I would again say that talent management is important. And lastly, the third reason, which is very important, is that if you do not do it systematically, logically, the competition is going to do it. And you're all vying for the same talent. And God knows in the insurance industry, the kind of attrition that we are facing, kind of attrition across the board that we are facing, and the challenges in terms of the regulatory environment which is there. I mean, I can safely say that if I am not looking at my talent strategy and notching up my game at least to the same level as all the other competitors, I mean, I think I'll be losing that battle. So that's I think that is the reason why I think these are three reasons why talent management is important. Over to you, Jivita.
Yeah, thanks, Nishant. I think over a nutshell, if we have to say that 80% of the job is done if we hire the right talent at the right time. So I think we touched based on how it is evolving as a part of strategy within talent management. So Shruti, I have a question for you. If talent management is a sector that took a significant blow as a result of the pandemic, and we are all aware that we face of recruitment essentially changed overnight as the world around is changing very quickly. How are organizations adapting to this change?
Thanks, Jivika, for the question. I think I would just like to turn this question a little bit to say that, yes, of course, the recruitment has entirely changed, but so is also how we are managing our talent. And I think it has become even more important now on how we kind of look at our talent and what are the kind of talent management practices being followed after the pandemic. We have all seen not only talent practices being changed, but all over business strategies, etc., also kind of taking taking new leads with this pandemic on how we actually run our businesses and how we kind of want to manage our talent. I think, in my view, talent management now plays an even more critical role after pandemic, whether it is kind of whether it is hybrid working, which has become like an extremely important thing now. It's how we work. It's like the new ways of working, right? So talent management plays an extremely important role in terms of how we kind of develop our hybrid working strategies. It also is extremely important when we talk about when we map the entire employee engagement experience and the employee experience now kind of being more virtual. So that is where talent management plays an extremely crucial part. Third, I think third point which comes to my mind is the culture, which is the bedrock of every organization. I think culture, how we kind of set culture in a virtual mode as talent management practitioners, it is become really important for us, because that is one thing that kind of connects everybody in the organization. So in my view, I think when we look at hybrid working, talent management has an extremely important role to play in setting up the culture. It is like one of the biggest things that we need to do today. Third, also in terms of our engagement, in terms of how we want to develop our people, you've seen a lot of online. We've entirely changed on how we kind of lead and develop our people right now. So upskilling, reskilling, the emergence of a lot of online platforms in the talent management and learning space is where I think it's not that it has kind of changed the way, but I think we as talent management practitioners have to evolve ourselves and see how we can kind of add value to the businesses, looking at all these things which have made a shift due to pandemic that has happened in our normal course of life and our normal employee life cycle that has completely changed because of pandemic.
Thanks, Shruti. I think you nicely put it as upskill and reskill. So, Nishant, if you see that organization are erroneously stubborn about using the age-old ways of managing talent now also. So, what do you think we can do to overcome that?
Okay, so we need to look at first and foremost the reality of today. Okay, what are the realities that we're facing, and some of it I think Shruti mentioned. First and foremost, your workplace has changed completely. You know, it's more fluid. What you call as a workplace, and I'm still talking about talent management as a subject. You know, otherwise we can say that the workman is still going to the plant and working from there, but we are not doing talent management there. You know, and the entire practice is not about managing those employees. It's where we are putting our, I mean, the 80-20 principle which you mentioned about. So first and foremost, for that talent which we are wanting to work around, workplaces change completely. You know, and people have found sync with how they want to work at their new workplace. Have organizations found that sync? And I'll answer that in the coming this thing. Uh, Second is the work definition itself is changed. You know what we were looking at is, I mean, skills which some people should have. For example, high-end Excel skills. You know, data crunching skills. It is required for any HR and practitioner or talent management practitioner today. In fact, when I see it, my when my kid joins the workforce, by the time basic programming would have become a basic skill, you know. And then within that space, we are talking about people who talk about green, safe, new industries coming in, new roles in those new industries coming in. The work has itself, the work meaning of work is absolutely changing. Third is employee priorities, and this is where I'll take a cue from Shruti that post-pandemic, employee priorities have completely changed. In fact, people are not only looking for career; even the most career-oriented people, they have understood the life, the meaning and the value of being with the family, uh, closer to family, living with them, living on their own terms, work-life balance. These are not those cliched words now. People have now realized after going through this pandemic that how much family and friends and a healthy life is important. So work itself and employer priorities, all three have changed, you know. And I don't know how many of us TM and HR professionals we are looking beyond 5 to 7 years for reskilling ourselves. So the entrenched stubbornness which you were referring to, managers are still trying to find an answer for tomorrow's problem with the yesterday's workings, or they are doing some kind of a patchwork. You know, there is some advancement, of course. For example, L&D or the development side of it, they have done some gamification to bring in technology to reach the employee's own workspace. But it has been contained, or it's not been so successful in all the areas. For example, I'm doing a safety training. You know, it is very easy to put a simulated environment, ask employee to make decisions as they go along in a gamification environment. But when we speak about much more deeper behavioral competencies, and then interventions related to that, then I do not know whether we have advanced as much. Answers are here, answers are coming. But what is happening tomorrow? What will be required tomorrow from beyond the PPT, Excel skills, basic programming, basic digital savviness, is the basic skill for even a talent management manager, and there's no way out of it. Second, if you and I've seen it in my experience, my limited experience is that we talent management professional give a lot of emphasis on understanding you person. You know, there's a lot of psychometrics, there's a lot of assessment center, there's that happening. Consultants coming in, they're giving you feedback about the individual, giving you feedback about the collective culture that they represent. But in my view, I think tomorrow's talent management manager has to give equal or maybe even more emphasis onto how the work is happening, the operating model, the strategic levers of the organization. So tomorrow will actually not be the same. The industries will differ. The technology will seep in too deep. Your managers will be third is that they will be asking for holistic answers. They will not ask you for potential and then go to another guide to ask for performance, and then another guide to ask for what are people saying about the individual, and then the fourth guy, what is this guy's aspirations. All four combined talent management manager has to actually give a feedback about an individual and for all the or as a combined holistic feedback. Lastly, I think talent management manager also has to look at data, lot of data crunching. He or she has to go for longitudinal comparison of data. Uh, we need to get into evidence-based feedback and evidence-based presentation, program management, data and AI driven assessments. These are things which are coming in tomorrow. Lastly, if and I was saying that I'll give an answer to how you can go beyond the gamification is that yesterday's news is that JP Morgan, which is the first bank in the world to do banking through metaverse. Perhaps there is some answer there, because consulting firms, training firms, coaches, coaching, mentoring, these are so easy to resolve with a metaverse environment. I think, and one of the banks going for full banking in there, and through Ethereum, that's a tie-up that which is what I saw in LinkedIn. I think answers are coming, and if you are not able to still visualize what I'm saying, there is a movie called Ready Player One. I think if you see that, you'll get some ideas of what I'm saying. So I think if organizations do not realize these realities are there, they will falter. They will start to falter, because the talent which we are talking about is the topmost talents, middle to top level talent. We're talking about succession planning, coaching, mentoring, and there we're not talking about the workman who's coming into the factory. He has to be there, present, physically present in the space, but everyone else's workplace is now absolutely fluid.
Yeah.
So, Jutta,
If
that's
I
from
can
my end.
just add a line, Nishant, I think we just need a mega makeover of how talent management will kind of look. It was about taking talent to work, but now it's actually moved to taking work to talent, because it's
Work to them,
geographically
absolutely, absolutely,
dispersed. And
completely agree.
yeah, so
So
It's about taking work to talent. Yes, I agree.
yeah, exactly. So top three things which I pick from your response is be vigilant of changes which is happening, become technology friendly, and upskill yourself to be future ready. So you think organizations are still ready to invest on technology part of it for doing talent management, Nishant?
Organizations do not have a choice. And I'm not talking about talent management future. I'm talking about this is the future of HR.
Hmm.
Any strategy that you are making, not only the talent and HR strategy, organization strategy, if you are making now and you're thinking, so strategy being a very big term, it looks at longer term. If you are not talking about big data, AI, ML, neural networks, quantum computing, blockchain, additive manufacturing, which is going to change the entire manufacturing even in China. Okay, green hydrogen, vertical farming, closed ecological systems. These are some of the things which are coming. They are almost at our doorsteps. And if you are not looking at that, in fact, government across the world, they've already pledged to reducing the carbon footprint. If in that reality today, Mr. Anil Ambani has declared that within 30 years we need to move to alternate fuels. So if that be the reality, I think business manager, line manager, they have to include this technology part in their strategy as an essential part. They can't say that, okay, we will make our strategy and we will then put technology to it. They have to say that technology is the fulcrum which will support our strategy. you know so that's that. And then from the talent management perspective, uh, managers and business alike, they will expect much finer segmentation based approach, from assessing, from development perspective, from engagement on different work perspective, from career planning. It will have to be very finely segmented. In fact, to the extent that people may ask, I mean, with all these technologies coming in, even I see some technologies will actually be replacing the old ones. You know, so not only new jobs will be created for people with new skills, there will be a lot of jobs which will become redundant. So one of the key talent management practice might become outplacements. Looking at a very individualized solution for an individual and propel him towards an outplacement solution. Because we may not have that kind of luxury to give him another role which is commensurate with his skills. Lastly, in this, there will be a lot of flow of feedback. It is employee to HR wherever.
అవును అది ట్విట్టర్ పోస్ట్ అంటే ఏంటి ట్విట్టర్ ట్వీట్ చేయలేదు మనం అది పోస్ట్
I'm sorry, there is somebody speaking. Okay. So, for example, collection of employee feedback on all TM activities, it will be most likely real time. You know, I mean, there are systems there are AI-based, ML-based automation and digital systems which are actually now looking at your kinesthetics, while they talk to you in a controlled and an uncontrolled environment, and they give real-time insights about the individual. And the individual, so HR to employee is not going to wait. You know, that feedback also has to be very instant. HR employee is not waiting. He is asking you, what is the career feedback for me, which is for me. You're not talking about general what positions are available in the organization. You know, tools are available to at your disposal, but it is for us to actually bring our competence to that level. You know, lastly, HR to management, like I said, they will be asking us for finer segmentation and finer segmentation based interventions for talent, but they will simultaneously be asking us for evidences, you know, AI, ML driven evidences, data driven evidences. So, first stage for tomorrow's TM managers, which I see when AI enabled data driven talent decisions have to make, that are you speaking the language which is required for that? For example, regression coefficient, cluster analysis, factor analysis, conjoint analysis. Are these terms coming into these are statistical terms, nothing big about it. Are they coming into your conversations? Are you talking in that term? Are you talking about mean? Are you talking about standard deviations? You know, and proving that your evidences, your data is absolutely correct. You know, lastly, there will be again technology to help you, but it's just the interpretation that you need to learn. You do not have to become a statistician. I mean, if I'm driving a car, I don't need to be a mechanic. You know, same analogy. I need to work on predictive models. I'll have neural network at my disposal. When I put in employee related data, all that I've collected, it will throw results by itself. But am I understanding and interpreting that data correctly? That will be the challenge even for today's talent management managers. The new manager is expected that they come with that kind of a tech savviness.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Judith.
Yeah, I also think it's not about now, like 10-15 years back, it was people using technology in HR was considered to be like a very, very big thing. But now technology is important for survival, for kind of ensuring that, you know, talent, you have the talent pool and you have to manage everything. Like Nishant said, segmentation has become so important. Like your business leaders want to know like everything about the talent they have, right? Right from kind of developing them to kind of colleges they went, kind of upskilling programs that would come, and all of this has to be supported by AI and ML kind of a thing for that respective person. It has actually honestly moved out from one size fits all. It has become really, really, really customized to the T level of an employee. So technology would play an extremely important role in how we kind of manage talent in the years to come.
So overall, if we have to summarize, Shruti, so how do you think we can upgrade our own talent management strategy? I mean, overall, as a summary of this session.
So I think taking points from what Nishant mentioned, I think to me, if you want to upgrade your talent management strategy, there are just 3 words that come to my mind. One is how you can simplify, right? So I know a lot of as HR professionals want to kind of, like Nishant mentioned, also focus on the age-old HR practices. I think it's the right time on how we want to look at each and every practice from a lens that is it really, really helpful for an employee, and how can we create an environment to an employee where it is really very simple and actually adding value. So I think how can I simplify my environment? How can I simplify that my leaders get insight, whether it is through data, whether it is through business partner, whether it is to other HR people. I think how my leaders are getting insight about my talent is important. How I can create an environment and our business models will change. Nishant just mentioned some examples of what Ambanis have said and how things are moving in the industry. So a lot of HR talent management will have to focus on how we adapt to those changes, how we can look at performance improvement of our people, how can we look at the productivity of our people through our talent talent management practices, I think rather than following the age-old practices, we need to really look at how we simplify all of it. So the first word for me is simplify. Second is, how do I engage my people, right? I want to have a talent management strategy that really engages my people. I need to have continuous learning for my people. I need to have reskilling. We just heard Nishant talking about that maybe some jobs would not be there in the times to come, right? So how can I upskill my people? How can I reskill my people? How can I have continuous learning? How can I make customized plans for individual development of my people? And I think third is from an engagement perspective, also how can I build trust? How can I build that culture that will matter to the people? Third, I think, is empower. Once we simplify things, once we engage people, then it is extremely important that we also empower our people in our talent strategy with the right system and tools. So whether it is automation, whether it is technology, whether it is having the right resources, it is extremely important that we have empowered our people through our talent management strategy. So in a nutshell, I think, how do you want to upgrade your talent management, simplify your HR processes, engage your people, and empower your people with right resources, tools, automation, technology, etc. So yeah, I think broadly key takeaways from this session, how I would want to see talent management in the times to come.
I think it was very nicely summarized and easy to understand for everybody, Shruti. Yes, within the 3 points which you covered. So I think now I open the floor for more questions. So participants, if you have any questions, you can just use the chat window, or you can unmute yourself and then raise the questions now. Yeah.
So thank you, Nishant and Shruti. I think it was wonderful listening to you both and the great insights that you shared. I have a question from the from as a rewards professional, that while we are talking about talent segmentation and the importance of us having clearly identifying, like Nishant said, that as much as we want to consider everybody a talent and want to do interventions for all, but then we have to have that segmentation and identify those top performers for us, and create the differentiation. Now, if I just connect it to the compensation processes, and I think that the conversations that I am having in my in my organization with the leaders, I am, when I propose to them this concept of, creating differentiation for top performers in the compensation processes, giving them maybe double the average hike. But we all you understand the, lack of budget and resources. And therefore, this means that in order to create the differentiation, this will go from somebody who is perhaps not one of those, top performers. And therefore, they have to have that segment of below average performers, right? They have to basically tag somewhere there. Now, given the current market situation where we have very high attrition numbers, I think my business is coming back to me and saying that my attrition is anyways, sky high, and whatever people I'm left with, I cannot afford to, give anybody less than average. So, whoever I'm left with, if I've already lost 30% of my people, the remaining 70%, I just want to make sure that I make all of them, happy. So I just wanted to understand from you that while I do understand this concept of talent segmentation and importance, but how can we really make a convincing, I don't know, story or for our business to understand its importance?
Question for me or Shruti?
Anyone, whoever
Anyone
wants to
can
take it.
take it. Yeah.
Nishant, you
Shruti, why
can
don't you?
please.
Okay. So, welcome to my life, Swati.
That's why I asked you, Nishant.
So, 47% attrition in the industry. I'm not talking about my company. Insurance industry as such, 45 to 47% attrition is absolutely normal. Post pandemic, it is just going down. Sorry, I'm so sorry, going up.
Right.
What we are tracking? We are tracking monthly attrition, 2 monthly attrition, 3 monthly attrition. All that we are doing. You're asking me for a panacea for which there is no answer even for with me right now. What I can tell you is that answer will probably not be in talent management, apropos to what we are looking at in this discussion, but probably it lies in how you are handling your PMS as well as your composition process. I'll not go deep into the PMS process for the time being because I need some data there to understand. But what you can do is, supposing your budget for increment is 8%, why don't you just keep 0.5% any which way aside when you are making your compensation grid, whether it is based on overall budget to be put to each individual, or is it a grade-based grid? Just keep that 0.5% aside. You know, once you keep that 0.5% aside, you can do whatever you like with that. You know, but even then, you have to prove your case to your management that, okay, you want to be socialist to everybody, you want to give everybody 7.5, fine, give everyone equal amount of increase. But these people, even if everybody we are losing, let's keep these people in. You know, these are our key talent.
Yeah.
Attrition is already happening. Will giving them higher money will stop attrition? My answer is yes and no both, because I've seen both happening. If you give more money, it will arrest the attrition to some extent. But there are other reasons. I mean, there's culture, there's a person's own incapacity to deal with the terms of the job. But somewhere, what it will give you is that solace that at least you're doing enough for your top performer. So probably the answer lies there. But if we can connect separately on this, maybe we can talk about it in a bit deeper manner.
Sure.
Hey, thanks, Swati, for that excellent question. I hope Nishant gave you the answer.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else would like to ask?
Are we
Okay.
keeping everybody away from dinner, maybe? Okay, great.
Okay, good. Then we'll call it an event. Then thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you, panelists, for sparing time for us and then giving great insights into this session. Thank you so much. And I wish a great evening for all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jivika and
Thank you,
edX
Jivika.
to
Thank you,
organize it.
Susan.
And Nishant, also, it's an honor to like kind of be a panelist with him. So thank you everyone.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Wonderful session.
Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.